to or welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you and I'm so glad you clicked on. Today's video is an April wrap-up, so we're going to talk about all of the books that I read in April, and I will say this is one of the best reading months I think I've ever had, like quality of book-wise. I had, I think, 3 5-star reads, a couple of 4 stars, a 4.5, and then I did have some not so great reads, but overall, really happy with how this month went. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I buddy read this with my cousin and I had fun with it. I think I ended up giving this book a 4 stars. I really enjoyed the plot. If you don't know, this book follows Peyton and Kai. Peyton is an ordinary and Kai is an elite. So basically in this political fantasy world, there's people with powers and there's people without powers, and the ones without powers are being executed because they apparently carry a disease. This follows their story. Peyton gets thrown into these trials because she actually does something that catches the eye of people, so she is, I guess there's like nominations for these trials, so she's nominated to go in this trial, and she's an ordinary, so she has to make it through with no powers, and it's basically just following them, the whole political world, and the king and whatnot. And there's some subplots in here. There's definitely romance. The romance is heavy in this, which I was very thankful for because the plot is so similar to Hunger Games, which it just like kind of felt a little bit repetitive in that matter. Like it didn't really stand out to me. But it also felt like the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. If you watched my, I think this was in a reading vlog, but I explained all my thoughts and feelings on this more in depth. So most of these books I actually did read in a reading vlog. So if you want to see any of my thoughts, definitely check out some of my videos. These should be in there. So I ended up giving this a 4 stars. I found it really fun and entertaining, but I did see a lot of similarities between this book and other books that I've already read, but I am continuing the series. I'm really excited because I think the novella Powerful was just released today, so I'm excited to pick that up. This was a fun read. I would definitely recommend picking it up if you love Hunger Games, if you like the whole trials and fantasy romance. The romance in this is really, really good. Like really good. There's a lot of quotes in here that were highlighted. It was just a fun book to read. And I think that this series has a lot of potential because the way that this ended, like honestly, this could have been a 3.5 star read for me, but the way that the book ended really just was so good and so well done and definitely changed the plot from the Hunger Games. I don't even know if I can count this towards April. Just kidding. I read a majority of this book in April, but I started this book. Woody, can we not? He loves to make a ruckus in my videos. Anyways, I read Into the Dark by Jessa Hastings. This is the final book of Magnolia and BJ. Not the final book in the whole universe. We will get some Daisy Hates books, but this is the last one. Woody, stop. But this book was literally so good, and I'm so sad it's over. It took me, but the way that this ended, it was wrapped up so well. This book was full of just heartbreak and torture, but also such great character development and like awareness. It was so good. It dealt with grief, and the way that it was dealt with, it was like, oh my god, this book was beautiful. It made me literally sob so many times. So I finished this month. I started it in February. It took me a really long time to read it. But I ended up reading it in a mini readathon video, I think. So if you want all of my reactions to this book, definitely look at that video. Yeah, definitely check that video out because I do go a lot more in depth about my feelings and opinions and reactions and stuff. So this was a 5-star read, obviously. It was a 5-star before I even picked it up. I knew that. I love the Magnolia Parks universe. It is such a wonderful, well, not wonderful. It's just like so much feeling in a book. Like I didn't know a book could make me feel like this until I read this series. And as I said, we had multiple 5-star reads this month, and one of them was in fact Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This book was so good. It follows Emma and Justin Woody, can we not? Okay, he's playing with his toy again. I'm sorry. He's being a menace. Anytime I whip this camera out, he wants to do something. I absolutely devoured it. Abby Jimenez, her writing is literally like a breath of fresh air. It's so good. Her male main characters are written literally perfectly. I love them. And then I love the awareness that she brings to like anxiety or like some like trauma with like parents, and it's just, this book was so good. So it follows Emma and Justin, and they both think that they're like cursed essentially, because every time they date somebody and they break up, the next person that person dates is the one that they like marry and spend the rest of their lives with. So Justin makes this like Reddit post, and Emma sees it and messages him, and then they end up striking up a little deal to date, like do 4 dates, and see if maybe they'll break the curse and meet the person that they're supposed to spend the rest of their life with. So it follows that line, and there's so much more that went into this book. It follows Justin's family, it follows Emma and her mother, it follows her friend Maddie. She's a travel nurse, which I thought was such a fun little switch up on careers, because I don't think I've read anything about a travel nurse. You get to see people from part of your world and people from yours truly, which are 2 of her other books that I'm literally obsessed with. So I had so much fun with this book. Gave it a 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I will be rereading this for sure. So then I picked up another 5-star read, Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I love Elsie Silver. I think her writing is just so bingeable. It's so easy to comprehend, and it's just always a good time. She hasn't failed me yet. I love all of her books. So this one follows Ford and follows Rosie. It's small town, but it's not cowboy. I feel like a lot of people think that it's a cowboy romance, but it's not. It's just a small town. He actually owns a recording studio in the small town, and she moves back after something happened, and then she ends up starting to work for him. And it follows their whole story. Obviously it's a romance, we know where it's gonna go, but this book was so fun to read. I had such a great time. I binged it in like a night. I loved it so much. There was nothing wrong with it in my eyes, so I did give it a 5 stars. I don't give 5 stars very often, but this month I read some really good books, so this was a 5-star for me. I loved all of the characters. Ford was such a great male main character. He was very caring, but also like grumpy, but like not mean. And then I actually did listen to Crystal Crowned, the 5th book in the Air Awakens series, and I think, what did I rate this? I think I rated it 3.5. I just found it to be a little bit repetitive and kind of went backwards in the story rather than forward. So that's why it's a 3.5. I can't say too much about it since it is the last book in the series, but I had a really fun time with it. It was entertaining, and I definitely want to keep reading more of Elise Kova's books. She definitely has like an interesting world building system. I thought it was super fun, so I'm definitely going to be picking up some more of her books. But okay, I think it actually cut out me talking about the roughest draft. I read the roughest draft during my mini readathon, and I was really enjoying it, and then something happened and it fell super flat for me, and then I ended up like not enjoying it at all, so I gave it a 2.5 stars. I'm not going to talk about the thing that happened because it could be a spoiler, but if you did want to know, I talked about it in my mini readathon video, so definitely check that out. But this follows Katrina and Nathan. They're both authors, and they co-write a book together, and then they have this huge falling out, and now like 4 years later they're writing a new book together, and they're trying to like talk about their feelings and stuff. And she has a fiance. There's some blurred lines. Didn't love this book. Ended up not really liking it at all, so I gave it a 2.5. The next book that I read was Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, and this was so good. I really enjoyed this. I did end up giving it a 4.5 because the first 200 to 300 pages was pretty slow for me, so I did give it a 4.5. But I really loved the characters in this, and I loved the plot, and I had so much fun reading it, and I'm so excited to get into Empire of Storms. I think that this really solidified that the series is really good. I did think that the first couple books could have been shorter, I think. The series is just so long, and there is so much that goes on in it. I don't want to talk too much about the plot in this one, obviously, because it's the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series. I really had a great time, and I'm so glad that I finally finished this, because I've also been reading this, I think, since February. So I read No Exit by Taylor Adams, And I don't want to talk about this book for long because I did give it a 1.5. I did not enjoy this book. It was just such a strange concept. No, not the concept. The writing was just not for me, unfortunately. It got really weird at some points, and like the twists were not twisty. The plot was not plotting. It had so much potential to be like a really good book. If you don't know, No Exit by Taylor Adams follows, I forgot her name. Something. It follows this female main character who sees a little kid in the back of the van at a rest stop because she had to pull over at this rest stop because it's a snowstorm and she can't be driving in it. So she stops at this rest stop, sees the kid in the car, and then she's trying to find out who is behind this and trying to also rescue the little kid. So it's a super interesting plot, but the author just fell flat with it. It was not good, in my opinion. If you enjoyed it, very good for you. But I just like genuinely didn't like it. I thought it was super strange. It was weird. Like I just did not like it. I wasn't having a good time, but I did finish it. It was a very bingeable book. Like I still wanted to finish it, which is why I gave it a 1.5. I never rate books that low, but this one was just not it for me. I did not like it. But yeah, I think those are all of the books that I read in April. I'm really excited for May. I'm hoping to have a bit more of reading time. I did do quite a good job on my physical TBR this month. I only read 2 that I don't own, so happy about that. And I finished a series. These are all the books. Well, not all of them, but most of the books. Definitely subscribe. Make sure to like this video and comment down below if you've read any of these, if you liked them, if you didn't like them. I'd love to talk about them. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'm so excited to see you in the next one.